Mr. Johnson was a farmer from Aloma village. He was a well-doing farmer with his wife and 4 children. At the beginning, Mr. Johnson was a humble man. He always prayed before going to his farm and thanked God after every harvest. He believed that God was the one who gave him strength and blessed his work. People in the village liked him because he was respectful, hardworking, and peaceful. But as time went on, things began to change. His farm grew bigger. He started making more money than most people in the village. He built a big house and sent all his children to good schools. Many villagers praised him and said he was a blessed man. Slowly, pride entered his heart. Mr. Johnson began to think that everything he had was because of his own strength. He stopped praying. He no longer went to church. He would laugh when his wife reminded him to thank God. "I worked hard for what I have," he would say. "God did not clear the bush or plant the seeds with me." His wife was worried. She spoke to him many times, but he refused to listen. Even his children noticed the change in him. He became strict and angry at any small thing, especially when anyone mentioned God. Then something strange happened. Mr. Johnson started behaving in a way nobody could understand. He told his family that he was now the true Jesus Christ. He said God had spoken to him in a dream and told him that he had a mission to show the world what real power means. His wife was shocked. "You are not Jesus," she said. "Please stop this talk, it's not good. People will laugh at us." His children cried and begged him, but Mr. Johnson refused to listen. He told them that just like Jesus died and rose on the 3rd day, he too would prove that he had power over death. And that was when he made the most shocking decision. He said he would bury himself alive and rise after 3 days. The news was one of the most unheard and shocking news in the village. Everyone wanted to see him do it, so he began to make preparations. At first, people didn't believe it. They thought it was just a joke or a small drama Mr. Johnson wanted to act. But when they saw how serious he was, the news spread like wildfire. Children, adults, and even elders couldn't stop talking about it. Some were scared, others were curious, but most of them just wanted to see how it would happen. Mr. Johnson, on his part, was full of confidence. He said his time had come to show the world that he had the same power as Jesus. He walked around the village with boldness and told people to come and witness his resurrection. He didn't want the day to look ordinary. He went out of his way to hire the best drummer in the whole village. The man was known for beating the talking drum in a way that made people dance with joy. Mr. Johnson said the drummer would play on the 3rd day when he rises from the ground, just like the angels must have played in heaven when Jesus rose. He also invited the best cook around. She was famous for her delicious jollof rice, egusi soup, and goat meat pepper soup. Mr. Johnson told her to prepare plenty of food for him and the villagers. He wanted everyone to eat and celebrate on the day of his resurrection. Even neighboring villages heard about the strange plan. Some people said he had gone mad, while others were excited and said they had never seen anything like this in their lifetime. They agreed to come and watch what would happen. On the same Good Friday when Jesus was crucified and buried, Mr. Johnson dug a 6 feet ground. He called the native doctor to cleanse the ground for him and bless his journey. That morning, the village was busy. People were rushing from different places just to witness what they called Mr. Johnson's crucifixion. Some came out of curiosity, others just wanted to be part of the history. The village square was full of noise and movement. Market women closed their shops early. Drummers started beating their drums. Children climbed trees to get a better view. Mr. Johnson wore a white cloth around his waist and painted a red mark on his forehead. He said it was a holy sign. He didn't look scared. In fact, he was smiling like a man who had won a prize. Then, he went to the back of his compound where the 6 feet ground had been dug. It was deep, and beside it stood a small table where the native doctor placed his tools, some feathers, clay pot, dry leaves, and cowries. The native doctor began to chant and pour local gin on the ground. He said special words that nobody understood and told Mr. Johnson that his spirit would be protected. His wife and children stood far away, crying and shaking their heads. They couldn't believe it was really happening. His wife begged him again with tears in her eyes, "Please stop this, don't do this to us." But Mr. Johnson looked at her and said, "I must fulfill my mission. Don't cry for me. I will rise again." The villagers, on the other hand, were full of excitement. Some clapped. Others danced and shouted his name like he was a hero. "Messiah Johnson! Our own Jesus," they screamed. Towards evening, Mr. Johnson entered the ground below 6 feet. The young men of the village covered him with sand. Then the celebration began. The villagers sang his name, calling him a warrior and brave man. They ate meat and drank palm wine. One by one, the young men took turns pouring sand into the hole until Mr. Johnson's body was completely covered. They used their hands and shovels. A small wooden sign was placed beside the spot, which read, "Here lies the Son of Man, rising soon." As soon as the ground was fully covered, the celebration began. Drummers played louder. Women danced with their wrappers tied tightly around their waists. Men raised their calabashes of palm wine high into the air and shouted, "To the great Johnson." People laughed, clapped, and cheered like they were at a festival. Some people said they had never seen anything this bold in their lifetime. Others said Mr. Johnson had done something that would be remembered for years. The cook didn't stop cooking. Big pots of meat, fish, and soup were shared among the crowd. Roasted yam and fried snails were served. There was plenty of palm wine, and people drank until late in the night. But in the middle of all the noise and laughter, one person was not smiling, his wife. She stood quietly at one corner, holding her youngest child close to her chest. Her face was full of fear and sadness. She didn't eat. She didn't dance. She just kept looking at the ground where her husband was buried. In her heart, she knew something was not right. Her husband was not trying to honor Jesus, he was trying to challenge him. She remembered how he used to mock the Bible and say he was stronger than the Son of God. Her heart felt heavy. She wanted to pull him out, but it was too late. On the second day, there was still celebration. His yam was cooked, roasted, and fried by the cook to serve the villagers. His wife prayed in her mind throughout the day. On the third day, which was a Sunday, the native doctor came, did some ritual, and the young men began the digging of the ground to bring out Mr. Johnson. That morning, the village was quiet but full of people. Men, women, and children came out early to witness the moment Mr. Johnson would rise from the ground. People whispered among themselves, wondering what would happen. Some even brought their phones to record it. The native doctor arrived, dressed in red and black. He carried a small gourd of palm wine, a rooster, and some leaves. He stood near the buried ground, poured wine on the earth, and began to chant some words. Everyone watched in silence as he moved around the spot, shaking his rattle and speaking to the spirits. After the ritual, he gave a signal to the young men. "Dig now," he said. They quickly picked up their shovels and started digging the same way they had done 3 days earlier, but this time, to bring him out. The crowd waited with excitement, their eyes fixed on the pit. As they reached the 6 feet depth, everything suddenly changed. They found the body of Mr. Johnson laying still. His arms were by his side, and his eyes were closed. His white cloth was now covered in dust. There was no movement. No breath. No sign of life. He had died. People gasped. Some covered their mouths. Others dropped their phones. Nobody expected this ending. Mr. Johnson had suffocated under the ground, and now, he was gone. Silence covered the whole land. His wife threw herself on the floor several times. His children let out loud cries. The native doctor said it was the will of the gods and no one can question it. The celebration turned to sorrow. The drums stopped. The dancing ended. Tears began to flow. His wife screamed and fell to the ground, rolling and shouting his name. She couldn't be consoled. "Why didn't you listen to me?" she cried. "Why did you leave us like this?" His children cried louder. The youngest one asked, "Is Daddy not coming back?" The villagers bowed their heads. Some were afraid, others regretted encouraging him. But the native doctor simply raised his hands and said, "This is the will of the gods. No one can question it." The same people who danced and sang now walked home in silence. His barns of yam were eaten down by the villagers. After the discovery that Mr. Johnson had died, the villagers quickly prepared for his burial. This time, there were no drums, no dancing, and no joy. The village was quiet. People just stood, watched, and walked away silently after the burial. His wife sat by his grave, wiping her tears with the edge of her wrapper. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her children stood beside her, holding hands, confused and broken. They had lost a father, and everything else with him. Life became very hard for the family. Mr. Johnson had used up all their savings to plan the so-called resurrection. The food was finished. The barns were empty. The money was gone. His wife started going to people's farms to weed for a little pay. The children stopped going to school for a while. Some villagers felt pity for them and gave them food. Others laughed behind their backs, blaming Mr. Johnson for bringing shame to his household. The proud man who once said he was Jesus was now gone, and the family he left behind had to suffer because of his pride and foolish decision. Lessons to learn from this story. Pride can destroy a person. Mr. Johnson allowed pride to fill his heart and forgot the God who helped him from the beginning. Don't challenge God. He tried to prove he was greater than Jesus, but he ended up losing his life. Listen to your family. His wife and children begged him to stop, but he refused. If he had listened, he would still be alive. Don't follow the crowd. The villagers cheered him on, but when things went wrong, they were nowhere to help. Use wisdom in everything you do. Not every idea is from God. Always seek guidance and think before making big decisions. Our actions affect others. Mr. Johnson's choice brought suffering to his innocent wife and children.